It's all going down, ladies and gentlemen, on Tyrone Bowman Live. On this past Tuesday night, we saw an historic event take place in New York City's mayoral race. Zohran Mamdani's victory speech sent shockwaves throughout New York City politics. The unapologetic progressive declared the dawn of a new political era, one built by working people, immigrants, and the marginalized. So the video that I'm going to show you is courtesy of Roland S. Martin. And you're going to see Roland Martin and his panel as they broke down how Mamdani's win upended both Trump's fear politics and establishment Democrats' complacency, redefining the future of political power in America's largest city. Zohran Mamdani delivers a defiant, unapologetic victory that shattered expectations across the political spectrum, quote, and quote. This video that I'm going to show is for educational purposes only under the Fair Rights Uses Act. It's not for profitable purposes. And if you all have not checked out Roland S. Martin and the Black Star Network and Unfiltered, y'all don't know what y'all missing. So let's get into this. I'm quite sure there's some commercials, but I haven't seen it yet. Well, yes, I have. Let me stop lying. I saw parts of it. And to correct myself, let me stop lying. I saw parts of it, but I didn't see the whole speech. Let's go to New York City on Tuesday night as it all went down. Courtesy of Roland S. Martin.
Thank you, my friends. The sun may have set over our city this evening, but as Eugene Debs once said, I can see the dawn of a better day for humanity. For as long as we can remember, the working people of New York have been told by the wealthy and the well-connected that power does not belong in their hands. Fingers bruised from lifting boxes on the warehouse floor, palms calloused from delivery bike handlebars, knuckles scarred with kitchen burns. These are not hands that have been allowed to hold power. And yet over the last 12 months, you have dared to reach for something greater. Tonight, against all odds, we have grasped it. The future is in our hands. My friends, we have toppled a political dynasty. New York, tonight you have delivered a mandate for change, a mandate for a new kind of politics, a mandate for a city we can afford, and a mandate for a government that delivers exactly that. On January 1st, I will be sworn in as the mayor of New York City.
lovely.
I say anything else, I must say this. Thank you.
Me too.
Thank you to the next generation of New Yorkers who refused to accept that the promise of a better future was a relic of the past. You showed that when politics speaks to you without condescension, we can usher in a new era of leadership.
Hello, Mamdani.
We will fight for you because we are you. Or
I
as
don't
we
know
say
why.
on Steinway, ana minkum wa ilaykum. Thank you to those so often forgotten by the politics of our city.
I have to say hi to Mamdani, to my Italian mother. Good evening, Mamdani. How are you? Thank you for watching. All right, let's get back to this video.
Who made this movement their own. I speak of Yemeni bodega owners and Mexican abuelas, Senegalese taxi drivers and Uzbek nurses, Trinidadian line cooks and Ethiopian aunties. Yes, aunties. To every New Yorker in Kensington and Midwood and Hunts Point, know this. This city is your city, and this democracy is yours too.
Yes.
This campaign is about people like Wesley, an 1199 organizer I met outside of Elmhurst Hospital on Thursday night. A New Yorker who lives elsewhere, who commutes 2 hours each way from Pennsylvania because rent is too expensive in this city. It's about people like the woman I met on the BX33 years ago, who said to me, I used to love New York, but now it's just where I live. And it's about people like Richard, the taxi driver I went on a 15-day hunger strike with outside of City Hall, who still has to drive his cab 7 days a week. My brother, we are in City Hall now. This victory is for all of them, and it's for all of you. The more than 100,000 volunteers who built this campaign into an unstoppable force. Because of you, we will make this city one that working people can love and live in again.
I shall, by the grace of God, keep up
With
with your work.
every door knocked, every
Love you right
petition
back.
signature earned, and every hard-earned conversation, you eroded the cynicism that has come to define our politics. Now I know that I have asked for much from you this last year. Time and again, you have answered my calls. But I have one final request. New York City, breathe this moment in. We have held our breath for longer than we know. We have held it in anticipation of defeat. Held it because the air has been knocked out of our lungs too many times to count. Held it because we cannot afford to exhale. Thanks to all of those who sacrificed so much, we are breathing in the air of a city that has been reborn. To my campaign team, who believed when no one else did, and who took an electoral project and turned it into so much more, I will never be able to express the depth of my gratitude. You can sleep now. To my parents, Mama and Baba, you have made me into the man I am today. I am so proud to be your son. And to my incredible wife, Rama, Hayati, there is no one I would rather have by my side in this moment and in every moment. To every New Yorker, whether you voted for me, for one of my opponents, or felt too disappointed by politics to vote at all, thank you for the opportunity to prove myself worthy of your trust. I will wake each morning with a singular purpose: to make this city better for you than it was the day before. There are many who thought this day would never come, who feared that we would be condemned only to a future of less, with every election consigning us simply to more of the same. And there are others who see politics today as too cruel for the flame of hope to still burn. New York, we have answered those fears. Tonight we have spoken in a clear voice. Hope is alive. Hope is a decision that tens of thousands of New Yorkers made day after day, volunteer shift after volunteer shift, despite attack ad after attack ad. More than 1 million of us stood in our churches, in gymnasiums, in community centers, as we filled in the ledger of democracy.
Most men don't know this, but ED medication?
Yeah, we ain't trying to hear nothing about no ED medication. Back it up.
To every New Yorker, whether you voted for me, for one of my opponents, or felt too disappointed by politics to vote at all, thank you for the opportunity to prove myself worthy of your trust. I will wake each morning with a singular purpose: to make this city better for you than it was the day before. There are many who thought this day would never come, who feared that we would be condemned only to a future of less, with every election consigning us simply to more of the same. And there are others who see politics today as too cruel for the flame of hope to still burn. New York, we have answered those fears. Tonight we have spoken in a clear voice. Hope is alive. Hope is a vision that tens of thousands of New Yorkers made day after day, volunteer shift after volunteer shift, despite attack ad after attack ad. More than 1 million of us stood in our churches, in gymnasiums, in community centers, as we filled in the ledger of democracy. And while we cast our ballots alone, we chose hope together. Hope over tyranny. Hope over big money and small ideas. Hope over despair. We won because New Yorkers allowed themselves to hope that the impossible could be made possible. And we won because we insisted that no longer would politics be something that is done to us. Now it is something that we do. Standing before you, I think of the words of Jawaharlal Nehru. A moment comes but rarely in history when we step out from the old to the new, when an age ends and when the soul of a nation long suppressed finds utterance. Tonight we have stepped out from the old into the new. So let us speak now with clarity and conviction that cannot be misunderstood about what this new age will deliver and for whom. This will be an age where New Yorkers expect from their leaders a bold vision of what we will achieve, rather than a list of excuses for what we are too timid to attempt. Central to that vision will be the most ambitious agenda to tackle the cost of living crisis that this city has seen since the days of Figueroa LaGuardia. An agenda that will freeze the rents for more than 2 million rent-stabilized tenants. Make buses fast and free. And deliver universal child care across our city. Years from now, may our only regret be that this day took so long to come. This new age will be one of relentless improvement. We will hire thousands more teachers. We will cut waste from a bloated bureaucracy. We will work tirelessly to make lights shine again in the hallways of NYCHA developments where they have long flickered. Safety and justice will go hand in hand as we work with police officers.
Hold on for a moment. Let me highlight you. What is your name? Apple. I'm just gonna call you Apple. You said pretty words for those dumb people. Let me ask you a question. Since you said they're pretty words for those dumb people, quote, close quote. What about the pre-campaign that was run across this nation on the premise and on the lies that they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, and they're eating the rats? What about inflation still being high? What about SNAP benefits being cut? What about the government being shut down? What about the fact that farmers, agriculturally wise, their business is just shot to nothing? What about these things? Isn't it amazing how when the MAGA racists and bigots had a whole lot to say, you all run and hide. But as soon as somebody of a different persuasion that you all don't like because of their religious beliefs and because of their heritage, then there's a problem. Somebody asked a dumb question about socialism coming to America. What about racism and bigotry and prejudiced people in America? Let's talk about that. What about the fact that people are judged based upon the color of their skin and quote unquote, not upon the content of their character, end quote? What about the fact that millions of people in America are hurting right now? They're hurting, they're suffering, and political mind games and chess is still being played all across the board while billionaires are having parties, drinking, smoking, and God knows what else they're doing and trying to justify starving millions of people. What about the hundreds of millions of people that are set to lose health care because of exhausting higher premiums and deductibles that they have to pay? What about the affordability factor in this nation? Individuals can't afford groceries. They can't afford to keep a bus pass in their pocket. What about high unemployment rates that are continuously soaring through the air? What about the systemic firing of Black men and women in all of these historically American institutions? Let's talk about the things that are relevant and important here. So that other crap, it doesn't matter to me.
To reduce crime and create a department of community safety that tackles the mental health crisis and homelessness crises head on. Excellence will become the expectation across government, not the exception. In this new age we make for ourselves, we will refuse to allow
Don't tell it to your MAGA Republicans.
To pit us against one another. In this moment of political darkness, New York will be the light. Here, we believe in standing up for those we love. Whether you are an immigrant, a member of the trans community, one of the many Black women that Donald Trump has fired from a federal job, Islamophobia and win an election. This new age will be defined by a competence and a compassion that have too long been placed at odds with one another. We will prove that there is no problem too large for government to solve and no concern too small for it to care about. For years, those at City Hall have only helped those who can help them. But on January 1st, we will usher in a city government that helps everyone. Now I know that many have heard our message only through the prism of misinformation. Tens of millions of dollars have been spent to redefine reality and to convince our neighbors that this new age is something that should frighten them. As has so often occurred, the billionaire class has sought to convince those making $30 an hour that their enemies are those earning $20 an hour. They want the people to fight amongst ourselves so that we remain distracted from the work of remaking a long broken system. We refuse to let them dictate the rules of the game anymore. They can play by the same rules as the rest of us. Together, we will usher in a generation of change. And if we embrace this brave new course, rather than fleeing from it, we can respond to oligarchy and authoritarianism with the strength it fears, not the appeasement it craves. After all, if anyone can show a nation betrayed by Donald Trump how to defeat him, it is the city that gave rise to him. And if there is any way to terrify a despot, it is by dismantling the very conditions that allowed him to accumulate power. This is not only how we stop Trump, it's how we stop the next one. So Donald Trump, since I know you're watching, I have 4 words for you. Turn the volume up.
My grandson just exposed a secret the Social Security office doesn't.
Ladies and gentlemen, when you see commercials like that, they're fake. That's why they're loud, to get your attention.
They can play by the same rules as the rest of us. Together, we will usher in a generation of change. And if we embrace this brave new course, rather than fleeing from it, we can respond to oligarchy and authoritarianism with the strength it fears, not the appeasement it craves. After all, if anyone can show a nation betrayed by Donald Trump how to defeat him, it is the city that gave rise to him. And if there is any way to terrify a despot, it is by dismantling the very conditions that allowed him to accumulate power. This is not only how we stop Trump, it's how we stop the next one. So Donald Trump, since I know you're watching, I have 4 words for you. Turn the volume up.
Let me holler at you, Anthony. Don't you go nowhere. Stay right there. You trolls who come over here, I know that you're racist. I know that you're bigots. And I know that you're part of MAGA. You all don't have a problem supporting MAGA racist, bigoted politicians who pilfer the economy and who dupe you all into supporting them, who give you all kind of trinkets and gadgets and toys, and you all buy them. You don't have a problem seeing them amass power, lying to you to your face and betraying you, as long as they perpetuate the mythology that the black people are your enemies. See, racism coming from MAGA is big billion-dollar business. It continuously flourishes. How do you think they maintain power? By pitting the races one against another. If I wanted to be a politician, I would tell you I'd become a politician. I have no desire nor aspirations to be a politician. I am an advocate, point blank, bar none. And what a lot of folk don't understand is that we can address anti-Semitism in America, that's no problem. We can address any discriminatory practices against the Asians or the Japanese community, that's no problem. But when we continue to address the plighting demagoguery and the plighting ongoing vitriol against black and brown people in America, then that seems to be a problem. Well, guess what? We're going to continue to talk about it. We're going to continue to address it. There's no retreating and there's no running. Now, MAGA that. Let's get back to this.
We will hold bad landlords to account because the Donald Trumps of our city have grown far too comfortable taking advantage of their tenants. We will put an end to the culture of corruption that has allowed billionaires like Trump to evade taxation and exploit tax breaks. We will stand alongside unions and expand labor protections because we know, just as Donald Trump does, that when working people have ironclad rights, the bosses who seek to extort them become very small indeed. New York will remain a city of immigrants, a city built by immigrants, powered by immigrants, and as of tonight, led by an immigrant. So hear me, President Trump, when I say this. To get to any of us, you will have to get through all of us. When we enter City Hall in 58 days, expectations will be high. We will meet them. A great New Yorker once said that while you campaign in poetry, you govern in prose. If that must be true, let the prose we write still rhyme and let us build a shining city for all. And we must chart a new path, as bold as the one we have already traveled. After all, the conventional wisdom would tell you that I am far from the perfect candidate. I am young, despite my best efforts to grow older. I am Muslim. I am a democratic socialist. And most damning of all, I refuse to apologize for any of this. And yet, if tonight teaches us anything, it is that convention has held us back. We have bowed at the altar of caution and we have paid a mighty price. Too many working people cannot recognize themselves in our party. And too many among us have turned to the right for answers to why they've been left behind. We will leave mediocrity in our past. No longer will we have to open a history book for proof that Democrats can dare to be great. Our greatness will be anything but abstract. It will be felt by every rent-stabilized tenant who wakes up on the first of every month, knowing the amount they're going to pay hasn't soared since the month before. It will be felt by each grandparent who can afford to stay in the home they have worked for, and whose grandchildren live nearby because the cost of childcare didn't send them to Long Island. It will be felt by the single mother who is safe on her commute and whose bus runs fast enough that she doesn't have to rush school drop-off to make it to work on time. And it will be felt when New Yorkers open their newspapers in the morning and read headlines of success, not scandal. Most of all, it will be felt by each New Yorker when the city they love finally loves them back. Together, New York, we're going to freeze the... Together, New York, we're going to make buses fast and... Together, New York, we're going to deliver universal... Let the words we've spoken together, the dreams we've dreamt together, become the agenda we deliver together. New York, this power, it's yours. This city belongs to you. Thank you.
Acceptance speech of Zohran, Mamdani. There's a lot to unpack. Nolan, I want to start with you. This is when I knew that this...
My neck, my back. I made the windshield crack.
I don't want to hear that stupid crap. I want to hear Roland Martin. That's what I want to hear. What a speech. All right, let's get back to Roland Martin.
He won this race. Was in the debate. The question was asked, what's the first trip you're going to take as mayor of New York City? Every candidate went, Israel, Israel, Israel.
What did he say?
Israel. He went, I'm going to go to New York City.
That's what he said.
That was a New York City speech.
Mm-hmm.
And that is why I believe he won. He did not get caught up in making it. The mayor of New York City ain't got nothing to do with foreign policy. Mm-hmm. And his whole deal, no, follow me here. He ain't the State Department. So they wanted to make the whole race about Israel and Jewish voters.
That's right.
He said, no, I'm going to make the race about New York City voters. Right. And that speech, that's what that was.
Absolutely. He is a guy for New York. He is New York's guy. As I'm listening to this, and I know for a fact that there's going to be a shift. When I think about the three economies in the United States, when I think about California, Texas, and New York, the World Bank, they just had their major meeting. ASEAN just had a major meeting. Everything is about economics and how everything is realigning globally. So this speech tonight, it was amazing. It spoke to New Yorkers, but it also spoke to Israel. It also spoke to the Middle East. It spoke to economies around the world, right? So one of the things that folks like me have been tracking is how this will play globally. I think that is very important for people to vote globally. I think it's very important for people to vote for the things that they care about. Now, how this is going to play globally, that's a very different discussion from how this is going to play domestically.
But he doesn't care, Tiffany, about how it plays globally. And again, this is why the campaign, I go back to his commercials, how he talked to the guy in the food truck about the cost, how he sat there at a table and talked about substance abuse and on a basketball court discussing Earl the Goat Manigault. What he did was he said, I'm running for mayor of New York City. I have to get the votes in 5 boroughs, not the votes in the Middle East, not in Europe, not in Asia, not in Russia, anywhere else. He said in the city. And quote, everybody else has been patronizing and all this sort of stuff like this. He's like, okay, y'all talking about that? I'm talking about them bus prices, rent prices, food prices. That's how he won. And for every Democrat who's been a punk ass criticizing him, they should be studying how he won.
Studying how he won, I want to add to the list that you just gave. I watched the debates.
You know what, Democrats? You better listen up, and you better listen up well. If you want to continue to win elections, stop ignoring people. Listen to what they have to say and then deliver on what you say. If you can't do it, don't promise it. People are tired of lies. They're tired of people playing games. Single moms, working moms, grieving parents, seniors, young people are going to school hungry. The governmental shutdown ain't no joke. It's real, y'all. And people are being affected by it. All across the board, around this country, around this nation. I want to get back to the panel discussion over here.
He also was able to combat, they talked about how young he was. They talked about how he was inexperienced and never had an opportunity to lead a state or a city like this and that he wouldn't be qualified and prepared. They tried to ask him 100 questions about Trump. And to your point, he stayed focused on the issues. He built the coalition. And you have to forgive me, Roland, because I'm a little emotional right now. We talked about like inspiration and motivation. I'm feeling hell of inspired right now off of that. Yeah. Because he just went around the world and back again. But most importantly, he talked about the coalition of people in New York who ran his campaign and all of the issues that they are going to, all of the issues that they have been facing, and how this moment is going to respond to the needs that people have been having. The needs, like not just the economic needs, but like people are stressed out, not only in New York, across the country, but people are stressed out in New York. He named taxi drivers, Ethiopian aunties, young people, Muslims, Jews. He talked about black women. He talked about labor. He named SCIU. He talked about the Working Families Party. He talked about his family, their family, they family over there, child care, etc. He was able to bring it all together. And I told this to Marcus when he was giving a speech. That needs to be studied. To your point, building that coalition of those young people who want to move everything moving forward.
Marcus, he basically told these white Democrats, kiss my ass about your criticism of identity politics.
That's right.
That's right. I mean, but he's been saying that his whole race, right? He's produced campaign commercials in multiple languages when people say or, targeting the Muslim community or targeting immigrant communities would be a liability for him. He's been doing all of these things where he says, I'm going to buck the system. He says, you're going to try to, rake me down for being a democratic socialist. What I'm going to do is very calmly explain to you what democratic socialism means. And what New York City voters did tonight was buy it. They said that we understand what you want to do for us. We understand the problems we face. And we know you see us, right? A part of, and Zohran Mamdani explained this earlier, democratic socialism is part policy, but it's also part posture, right? How do you show your neighbor, right, that you love them? Do you show your neighbor that you care about them? And what Zohran Mamdani did tonight, as well as over the last year of this election, is show New Yorkers that he cares about their individual situations. He's willing to hone in on those individual stories and turn those stories into policy.
Greg Carr, normally the advisors say, now that you've won, go out, bringing people together. He said, I'm going to give the speech that needs to be given. Damn what y'all think. Right. This was a non-consultant driven campaign.
It was, and it's from a young man whose father, Mahmoud Mamdani, first-class intellect, spent most of his working career between Columbia University and Uganda, where Zohran was born. His middle name is Kwame. He identifies as an African and as an Indian and as a Muslim and all the things we heard. Just a brilliant young man. People accuse me of being very critical of Obama, and I disagree. I'm not very critical of him. I'm ultimately critical of him. This is the anti-Obama. No, really. That's why Obama. No, I realize that's been passed. He took the torch from you. You wasted your torch, sir. There are no red states, there are no blue states, sir. Just the United States.
No.
United States. Let's be clear. I want to be very clear about this because I don't want to be mistaken about that. Isn't it ironic that this boy from Uganda and Obama's people from Kenya right next door? Maybe the whole thing is going to be tilting on the edge of East Africa and ultimately. Countries come and go. The United States of America, and people get tired of hearing me saying that, but I don't care because I've studied this enough to be able to say it with full confidence. This country is not going to be here in the same form much longer.
Right.
These white nationalists understand that, and I embrace them for it. I love them for it because my people were trafficked, and it's a crime scene. The only shot they have now is what they're doing. They're making a death bleat to white nationalism. Tonight, we heard from New York City and California that just passed Proposition 50. These are the two areas of this country that are the future of the people who live in this country. California is as Pacific Rim as it is and Mexican as it is anything else. And New York City, as John Henry Clark used to say, isn't a city, it's a multinational polity in its own right. The politics of Mississippi, the politics of the billionaires who control the lives in Iowa and Texas, those politics are dying. This is their death knell. Zohran Mamdani represents the future, not only of the United States, but in many ways, he's going to be a leader for the world if he lives. He's in his mid-30s. They're going to try to kill him. I'm just going to say that right now. Because when they get desperate enough, that's what they do. And I'm saying 20 years from now, being the president of the United States shouldn't even be his ambition. Ain't going to be the United States be president.
Mustafa, Frank Lutz posted this, and I had to respond. Don't read too much into tonight's election results. Democrats are strongly favored in all the key races. The surprise will be if any of those races are nail-biters. California is expected to ratify Prop 50. That's the big race. Republicans never get their act together.
All right, I'm going to leave it right there for tonight. Zohran Mamdani, Mayor-elect of New York City. And always remember this, when people work together, you can get anything done. It's easy for people to talk about what can happen, what won't happen, what won't be. How about this? You know, you got the professional critics who make a living, and they call them political analysts and political pundits. They're critics, that's all they are. They go from one platform to another, always talking about a professional strategist. Forget about all that. Work your plan and let your plan speak for itself. And whatever your career choice is in life, be your genuine, authentic self. Be your unique self. Don't compromise who you are for anybody. Individuality leads to success in every area of life, no matter what people say. It's not about being a Democrat or Republican. It's about being who you are. All right, everybody. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for the comments, pro and con, in between, whether you love me, loathe me, hate me, reject me, or despise me. I ain't got nothing but love for you, baby. Till next time, never surrender, never quit. He said, living life and how is anything free? You got political ambitions. Never surrender, never quit.